But look, demand for practical driver licence tests have skyrocketed. When we heard that from the Minister, Simeon Brown, in the last hour. Since reset fees were scrapped last October, and prospective drivers are struggling to book tests. Records from NZTA provided through the Official Information Act show that people living in the worst affected areas were waiting more than 4 months to sit a full or restricted licence test. And the very thing that was designed to make it easier to get a licence was having the opposite effect. And the Minister did mention some numbers in February and March. In February and March 2023, it took just 11 days to get a test. But during the same period this year, the average waiting time for a full licence test had rocketed up to 49 days. Restricted licence tests were even worse, at about 55 days for waiting for every month since Feb. Drivers in South Auckland and Canterbury, interestingly, wait the longest for full licence tests. They average about 57 days. I'm choking on it. 57 days, and 54 days respectively. While wait times in Hastings and Taranaki are slightly less, average of 29. Look, all in all, it's a heck of a wait, right? The president of the New Zealand Institute of Driving Educators, Mark Revill-Johnson, joins me now. Mark, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Leah. How are you?
I'm good. I was getting all emotional there just talking about the wait times. First of all, Mark, can you just give us a quick rundown on what your institute does, what the Institute of Driving Educators are?
Okay, we're a membership organisation, so we have members who are professional driving instructors throughout the country, and we also have associate members who are involved in driver education in maybe not necessarily the traditional way of sitting next to a new driver in a car, but maybe involved in research or providing mentoring for new drivers. Not as a professional, but as a volunteer. So we have a wide range of membership who are involved practically in teaching people to drive.
Mark, what did you see? What do you see was the problem? Is the problem with the free reset fees that the government brought in last year?
Yeah, I think the main problem was that it was done with really good intentions in terms of trying to get people to have accessible driver licensing and testing. So it was designed to remove barriers, and one of the principal barriers, of course, is cost. The downside is that there was a complete removal of any investment from the person going for the test.
Yeah.
So people were simply just turning up and hoping for the best, or maybe had a test booked and just didn't bother to turn up. Maybe today's raining, or I don't feel too well, or actually I just can't be bothered.
Yeah. Well, that's true.
So
and
yeah.
If you don't have skin in the game, you don't. It doesn't matter, does it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
People do have to pay a fee to take that first test, and that hasn't changed in the new rules.
Right.
So there is a fee to take that test for that application fee. That was always there, and it always stayed there. It's just the fact that that there was no consequence for not turning up. There was no consequence for cancelling late. There was no consequence for failing.
There's no consequences. Yeah.
Yeah. Basically, yeah.
Do you think we, as a country, do we have enough driving educators, instructors?
I think we possibly could do with more, because people tell us it's difficult to access. But there again, there are a whole raft of community schemes around the country who offer driver education for free. So that there are plenty of schemes that people can get to, particularly if cost is an issue.
Okay.
So there are plenty of those schemes around. They do great work. They really do. But there are in busier places, in places where there are more people learning to drive, there are more instructors. It would be great to see more.
Yeah. Mark, just going by your lovely accent, originally not from New Zealand, but Kiwis are always told that we are some of the worst drivers in the world, since you've got experience driving in another country and being here. Do you agree? What is it that Kiwis, what do we do that might be a bit different from the rest of the world?
Well, to be honest, Leah, I think you could say that anywhere you went. I mean, I go back to my homeland occasionally, and I think, oh my goodness, things have got so much worse.
Oh.
I mean, it's kind of a perception, and if you bring it just down to a local level, I've taught in a number of towns around the North Island, and every single town I've taught in, people say, "Oh, yes, the drivers here are terrible," and roundabouts feature frequently in that conversation.
Yes. Roundabouts, Mark. We have 5 people up about roundabouts today. Jeez.
Yeah, it's a fascinating subject. I, of course, was taught in the UK, and roundabouts have been around for many years. People are quite used to them. They're a great way to help keep traffic moving.
Yeah.
They're a great way to slow all traffic down from all directions. So they're a really good crash prevention tool. And even if the crash does happen, at least it's a low-speed one, so people don't get injured so much.
Yeah.
But having been taught them right from day one, for me, I struggle to see how difficult people find these things.
People still struggle with it. In fact, I was almost loath to give my opinion. I thought, am I doing this right?